Beer Guys Radio Show on demand is brought to you by Truck and Tap. Food trucks, craft beer, not your ordinary bar and restaurant. In downtown Woodstock. Online at truckandtap.com. The Beer Guys Radio Show. Saturday afternoons at 1 on Atlanta's AM 920. The Answer. Streaming to the world at beerguysradio.com. Proudly broadcasting from the AM 920 studios in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's the Beer Guys Radio Show. The only radio show in the South dedicated to art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
And it is the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Aaron Williams.
I am Tim Dennis.
And welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Me, I'm doing good.
You're good? Okay.
I thought it was a general question for the listeners there.
Okay, well, that's good.
Hope everyone's doing, but I'm doing well, Aaron.
Excellent, excellent. It is, coming up on the end of January. It is our fourth show. I can't believe we've gone this far without somebody pulling the plug on us, but we're here. Producer Joey is with us today, and it is going to be an awesome show. You know, like I said, it's coming up on the end of January, which means you've probably forgotten your New Year's resolutions. Did you have any?
No, my resolution was not to have any resolutions.
I had the greatest resolution of all time, which is to drink more beer.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic,
on that one. Congratulations.
Yes, my Untapped list is just swelling with all new beers that I've dealt with. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, it's all work. It's
you know what?
related,
Listen, I think it's tax. Is it tax deductible now?
I think so.
Okay,
should
cool.
be.
Cool. Auditors don't call me in the next couple of months. Anyway, we are here to help you if you've forgotten your New Year's resolution. We are going to talk about probably one of the hottest trends of the past couple of years, session beers.
Right.
Yeah.
Session beers, lower ABV beers. So if you look it up, Aaron, you'll see that by definition, and this is highly contested, depending on who you talk to. But as a general rule of thumb, beers at 5% ABV or lower are considered session beers. They're generally going to have a fairly decent balance of, malt, hops, and that, where you can sit down and you can drink several of them. However, there is a trend towards what they're calling session IPAs. Some people would say that beer doesn't exist, but we have some here, so
I was just going to say, Truck and
So
Tap's Beer of the Week, again, sponsored by Truck and Tap. You brought a session IPA. Which one did you bring?
I brought Red Brick Brewing Casual Session IPA. It is 4.5%. It's a juicy tropical hop flavor, an easy drinking IPA. So that's what I've got for us this week.
Excellent. And I went down to Savannah, not literally, but I went and picked up the Service Brewing Company Ground Pounder Pale Ale. This is a 4.6% ABV Pale Ale, and we'll be talking to the guys at Service Brewing a little bit later on in the show to talk a little bit about their beers and what's going on in the Savannah beer scene. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Also, we'll talk to Hunter Lainhart. Hunter's the manager of CrossFit 404 in Atlanta. He's a former UGA swimmer and can bench press both of us. I want to see that.
He's a
I don't
big
believe
dude.
that one.
I'm going to tell you that right now. He is one of my trainers.
So.
I go to CrossFit 404, full disclosure. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
I will tell you that.
He's going to talk to us about diet, exercise, and bringing beer into that. And he's got a little interesting information that some people may not realize as it pertains to beer.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about being paleo and not getting any carbs in your diet and those types of things. Well, Hunter is here to tell us a little bit about his experience and how to kind of back that off and add to your diet as opposed to take away things. So it's an interesting theory, and I hope you will enjoy this. Speaking of, it is a busy day here in Georgia Beer. Saturday, the 23rd. There are so many things going on.
So much.
I know. After the show here, we've got to book it, and two big events that are going on. We'll touch on this, of course, later on in the show, but we've got the Atlanta Cask Ale tasting, which is going on. Nui Belge, which is going on there. We gave away a couple of tickets to both of those events, and so I know that you're going to make both of them. I'm going to try to make both of them, and
you can do it.
I can do it.
Faith.
Yes, it's again part of my resolution. We'll be good to go. What are some of the beers that you drank this week that kind of stood out for you?
A little kind of an easy week for me. I didn't have a lot of beers this week, but met up with some people. Actually, you and I were both there. We went to the Wing Cafe in Marietta. Had a few beers there. Foothills, it's launching. I tried the barrel-aged People's Porter. That was an excellent beer. I enjoyed that a lot. Tried the new version of Second Helping from Sweetwater. Good beer, good cause. Excellent. I really enjoyed that a lot. And, I keep saying I'm not an IPA guy.
I know.
But I'm finding more and more of them that I enjoy. And so maybe I need to drop that, that phrase altogether.
You'll come over to the dark side soon enough. It'll be okay.
So.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm kind of coming over to your side, though, and I really enjoyed. We also had a Vanilla Maduro from Cigar City a little bit later on, and that was Excellent. I really, really loved that one. The Foothills People's Porter, again, was one of my favorites that I had. And also a couple of IPAs of note. The Orpheus Hop Experiment number 2, that was on tap at Hop City Midtown, and my dad caught a growler of that. I really enjoy the IPAs that Orpheus is bringing out there. And, of course, my go-to IPA of all time, whenever I see it, I got to grab it. It's the Creature Comforts Tropicalia. Had that at Truck and Tap the other day, so that was a really nice beer and very nice surprise for me when I saw that on tap.
Yeah. Popular beer, good beer.
Absolutely. Speaking of popular, there are a lot of things going on in the news, so let's get to that. Of course, there are some things going on in the Georgia legislature brewing a little bit. Do you want to give us an update on that quickly?
There's as of right now, there's not a lot of information to report, Aaron. We're waiting on the beer bill to be presented. There's been some discussions that some things may be going on, but nothing can be really said right now. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to hear something very soon about where things stand with that.
Yeah, we've had a few off-the-record conversations, of course, with Nancy Palmer from the Georgia Craft Brewers Guild, but not at liberty to explain some things when they do break, and we'll let you know as soon as that happens. Here's some breaking news. There is a state that actually is going to think about having direct sales to consumers from breweries.
Well, there's only 2 states that don't allow that, Aaron.
So we're talking about Alabama. So we are now behind Alabama when it comes to that type of thing, which is never a good place to be. Yeah, this is in the news here. Again, I got this from Alabama News, that they may soon be able to sell their products directly to consumers, as lawmakers are expected to propose legislation this year recommending sweeping changes to the state's current restrictions on brewery zoning and sales. Now, their legislative session starts in February 2nd, so they haven't done anything official yet, but it looks like our neighbors now to the west are going to start looking at getting some direct sales direct from the breweries to the seller or the end user. So that would be a nice change for them. Absolutely.
I hope they succeed.
No, it should be a great thing for them. And, of course, we'd love to see the Alabama business grow. And we'd love even more to see Georgia beer grow and actually have some laws that are catching up with the rest of the, I guess now it could be 49 states.
That would be awful if we end in that position.
Listen, I think that
the last state in the country that doesn't allow that.
Exactly. And you know what? I mean, Atlanta's a great city. Georgia's a great city. I've lived here for really
Georgia
coming up
is my favorite city.
It is.
Actually, Aaron. So,
are you sure this is a session beer?
No more session beers.
I know.
For you.
Listen, that's what happens when you have 8 of them. I guess it kind of adds up.
It's a session.
That's right. That's right. A couple other things in the news. Actually, we use Untapped. I'm a big fan of it.
Yep, use it a lot.
Absolutely. Of course, Untapped is where you go to kind of check in. It's almost a Facebook for beers is the best way to describe it. Now, Untapped has just merged with Nextglass, which is a wine and beer recommendation platform. So Untapped was founded about 5 years ago, and it has developed a reputation as the go-to check-in app for beer fans. 3 million drinkers are using it, so they were able to grow their reach and database by crowdsourcing product information, and it's a really good app. I recommend using it if you are into the craft beer scene, just to kind of keep track of what's going on and what else is there. But it'll be interesting to see how this combination with Nextglass will, again, kind of work with Untapped. I've never used Nextglass before, so I'll be interested to see what develops there.
I checked it out a little bit, and I went back to Untapped. I enjoyed it. It's easy to use. A lot of my friends are on it. It's a great way to check in and track what I've drank, see what my friends are drinking, what they think of it, get recommendations. The guys there from Untapped said we're not going to see, it's not going to switch over to the Nextglass format. It's going to remain Untapped and see some positive changes. So it'll be cool to see what they do. For a couple of guys doing this part-time, they've really done a lot with that.
Definitely, yeah. It's a good thing for them, so congratulations to the folks at Untapped.
And one more big...
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
One more big piece of news here out of Georgia. Will Avery of Burnt Hickory Brewery.
Yes.
It was announced this week that Will is actually taking a head brewer spot for Galway Bay Brewery in Ireland.
That's awesome.
So he's going to be leaving Georgia and the U.S., heading over to Ireland here in a few weeks or a month, joining their team as head brewer. And Galway Bay is actually the second largest craft brewery in Ireland. We'll miss having him here. He's a great brewer. Love Burnt Hickory's beers. We've talked to him before.
Absolutely.
He's been on with us, and we definitely wish him luck in that position.
Yeah, and Alex Ciaburri is going to be the head brewer now at Burnt Hickory Brewery, so good luck to him. It's probably no secret that you and I are huge fans of the folks at Burnt Hickory and what they're doing there, so it'll be good to kind of see that change and see that transition. Congratulations to Will, and really interesting. It seems as though a lot of the European smaller brewers are trying to catch up to where we hear the craft scene in America, and it'll be interesting to see how they develop and maybe if they're going to pilfer some more American brewers to come across the pond, as it would be.
I chatted with Will briefly about the move and asked him, is there a lot of American style there? Because I saw the style names are similar. So I asked him, are there interpretations of those styles the same as here? And he said, very much so. Very, very similar to the American styles in what they're brewing with IPAs, porters, stouts, and that. So craft beer sounds like it's alive and well over there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops as far as the craft brewing scene in Europe goes. And I'm even more excited about the free all-expense-paid trip to Ireland that Galway Bay is going to give us to cover that event.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that part.
All right. We'll wait a little bit to see how that happens.
We'll see how it goes.
Exactly. Anyway, you're listening to the Beer Guys radio show. We've got the guys from Service Brewing upcoming next, and we'll be talking to Hunter Lainhart from CrossFit 404 in Atlanta, talking about working out and keeping your diet. Stick around. The Beer Guys radio show. We'll be right back. This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys radio show on AM 920. The Answer.
Hi, welcome back. This is Tim.
And Aaron.
And we are speaking with Kevin Ryan. Kevin is the CEO of Service Brewing Company out of Savannah. He was named the Newcomer of the Year in 2014 by Business in Savannah. He's a West Point graduate, an Iraq vet, and a former rugby player for West Point.
You got to get that plug in for the rugby players.
Rugby.
Absolutely.
Kevin, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks to you. And first, thank you for your service in the military. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get started in brewing?
Well, my girlfriend bought me a home brewing kit for Valentine's Day. It'll be 4 years ago next month.
That's a good girlfriend right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
7 months later, we started planning a brewery, so it didn't take long to catch on.
So you really got into it really quickly.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Why Savannah? Was that your last port of call, so to speak, or decided to move down?
Actually, I left the military in 2004 out of Colorado, bumped up to Michigan, quickly left Michigan for New York, and the company I was working with at the time in New York relocated to Bluffton, South Carolina. And given the options, living in downtown Savannah was perfect. And at the time we started planning the brewery, there was Moon River Brew Pub here in Savannah, and that was it. So at the time, we were looking at being the first production brewery, and quickly there's all of a sudden 3 production breweries in Savannah.
Yeah, and it's you guys, Southbound, and blanking on the other one.
Coastal Empire.
Coastal Empire, that's right.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, how's the response been there in Savannah to your brewery?
Savannah's been great. We've got a phenomenal local scene. Savannah's known for their drinking. People feel like people come to Savannah just because they can walk around with a beer in their hand and not get in trouble. So we get a great tourist population down here. Tons of local support, not only from the local businesses, but the local population has been great.
Get 80% of your sales over St. Patrick's Day weekend, right?
I wish. I think people are looking for volume versus quality on that day.
I've been to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day, and I don't remember it, so that might be a reason why. Now, you've got 3 year-round offerings. You've got an IPA and, of course, 2 that would be considered session beers, your Rally Point Pilsner and your Ground Pounder Pale Ale. Was that a conscious decision to kind of go low ABV for 2 of your offerings?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I always find challenging is when I go out and I want a nice craft beer is the alcohol content can be preventative from being able to enjoy more than one at a meal. And so instead of getting a half pour of one of our bigger beers, you can get a full pint or 2 of 2 of the 3 of our seasonal offerings and not feel like you're going to have a hard day the next day.
Yeah, and of course, one of our beers of the week here, sponsored by Truck and Tap, is your Service Ground Pounder Pale Ale. So we're trying it right now, both Tim and I and producer Joey. So cheers.
Yeah, very flavorful pale ale. That's one thing with the sessions. You gotta watch that you don't just have a watery beer. But this has got a nice hop profile to it, nice bitterness.
A lot of people are surprised at how much you get for the 4.6% alcohol.
Now, tell us a little bit about the craft beer and maybe the military culture. Is it something that a lot of folks in the military are going to these days?
I think for craft beer is definitely catching on everywhere. Mm-hmm. As folks mature in the military and they get into their career, they're certainly have traveled all around the country, and they've been able to experience a lot of different beers, and craft beer is unique to a lot of areas. So they're typically a more seasoned customer just because the military has them in so many places.
Now, you've been involved with some military-focused charities, including pouring at the Army-Navy game a couple of years ago. How important is it for you to give back to the military community?
Well, it's really the service community in a whole. It's part of our mission is to give back to charities that support service, not just military. We've also supported the 200 Club of the Low Country, which takes care of families of fallen firefighters and policemen. And so we've given, in our first year, we gave over $20,000 back. And one of the charities we supported was called Homes for Our Troops, where over 90 cents of every dollar goes towards buying land and building home for soldiers disabled in service to the country since 9/11. And after we supported them, I found out that they'll be building a house for a soldier that served with me in Iraq. And they'll be building that house up in Ohio this spring. So it just reinforces the importance of taking care of folks like that.
Kevin, I see one of your beers actually showed up at the Pentagon. So can you tell us how that happened and what was that like for you?
Well, it's pretty awesome. The Sergeant Major of the Army was my first sergeant when I served in Iraq. And so we've got some, as well as 20 out of the 23 of our investors are veterans of the Army, Navy, or Marines. So we know a lot of people that are in and around the military. Either they're currently serving or have served or continue to work with the military. So it was pretty nice to be able to support the Sergeant Major of the Army and their Warrior of the Year competition.
You know, my dad was in the Pentagon for several years working for the Navy, so I guess he was in the wrong wing when you guys brought those beers over.
Yeah, probably so.
Anyway, we are talking with Kevin Ryan, the CEO of Service Brewing Company down in Savannah. What's on tap for Service in the future? What are you guys working on?
Well, today we actually brewed the first batch of our spring seasonal. It's called Old Guard. It's a beer to guard style. It's the second time we've made it. We made it last spring as well, but it's uses Savannah Bee Company honey, but it's also fermented with our own yeast strain. So we hired these guys called South Yeast Labs out of Greenville, South Carolina. Before we opened the brewery, they came down and set up traps all over Savannah, see if we could harvest a viable yeast strain for the brewery. And we actually pulled it from Meredith, my girlfriend's beehive. So truly local strain that has a lot of Belgian characteristics to it. So it's really nice.
Does that have any tart characteristics, any souring in that one? Or
No.
That's been something interesting, talking about harvesting the yeast. I'm a home brewer as well. I've been in it a few years and have attempted unsuccessfully so far to capture some, but have been looking at that more. Really fascinates me using those wild local strains. It's interesting to see what you get from that.
Yeah, we really lucked out with this because it's not a wild strain, so I'm not putting the brewery at risk. I'm not putting my production beers at risk, but we can still have a truly unique strain for our brewery, and the beer is just phenomenal.
Excellent. Are you going to have any events or anything as you're coming up to Atlanta anytime soon?
Well, I'm going to be at, I'm going to be at Hop City on the 16th of March.
Okay.
We're doing a tasting there. And we'll be at the cask ale tasting this weekend. We have an Imperial Oatmeal Cookie Stout that was inspired by the Bird Cookie Company's Scotch oatmeal cookies. So that's a big one.
That sounds great. And, of course, we're going to be there for a big weekend of events here in Atlanta. The Atlanta Cask Ale tasting, of course, is one of them. We talked to Owen Ogletree last week about that. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, well, our brewer, Austin, and our cellarman, Keith, will both be there looking to meet a lot of folks and talk about the beer.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to find you, try that out. I believe you guys were there last year as well, correct?
We were, yep.
Yeah.
We had a wheat wine last year.
Had a fancy truck out front, right, with Service Brewing on it, if I remember correctly. So.
Yes, that is my mobile home. I actually slept right there the night before and the night after that festival.
Oh, that makes it convenient, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than taking Uber, I guess. You've got your own you can sleep in.
Absolutely, and a full fridge.
That's even better. Excellent. Now, we talked briefly about Savannah beforehand. It kind of seems like Savannah is becoming the third city here in the state of Georgia when it comes to craft beer. Of course, here in Atlanta is, of course, the big one. Athens, I think, would come in second. It seems like the Savannah beer culture has grown. Can you talk briefly a little bit about that?
Well, we've got a great community down here. I'm sure like a lot of places, we're always helping each other out. The population in Savannah is obviously not anywhere near what it is in Atlanta. We don't have the traffic. It's easy for us to get together as brewers, and somebody needs some hops, somebody needs some grain, somebody needs some bottle caps. We're all very close to each other, and we don't have to worry about timing our visits to each other's breweries. And then as the population grows and the businesses, the bigger businesses in Savannah continue to grow, there's more demand for us to put out quality products.
Sounds great, Kevin. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. We look forward to seeing you at the Atlanta Cask Ale tasting and seeing what else is coming up from Service Brewing.
Great, guys. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kevin. You're listening to the Beer Guys radio show. Coming up next, we are going to talk about working out and keeping that diet with Hunter Lainhart from CrossFit 404. So stick around. The Beer Guys show. We'll be right back.
Out of town? You're not out of touch. Stream the Beer Guys radio show on the AM 920 The Answer mobile app, on iHeartRadio, and on TuneIn.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out, Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Yeah, we get calls. Here's one of them.
Hey, Tim, it's Nathan out here in Woodstock. Checking in, letting you guys know this is an awesome show. Love listening to everything about Creature Comforts and everything they're doing. Actually drinking a Cocoa Bunny right now in celebration for your first show. Congrats, guys. I'll see you around town, buddy.
Let the Beer Guys know what's on your mind. Call 678-861-8ALE. That's 678-861-8ALE. Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Hey, and welcome back to the Beer Guys radio show. It's Aaron.
It's Tim.
And hey, we've got a special guest in the studio right now. We've been talking about session beers and how to keep your diet and kind of stay in shape, even while you're enjoying beer. We've actually got someone who knows what he's talking about, so that's very important. Hunter Lainhart is the trainer and a manager at CrossFit 404. That's off of Miami Circle in Atlanta. Full disclosure, it is the CrossFit gym that I go to. But Hunter is a former member of the UGA swim team, qualified for the Olympic trials, and was team captain his senior year. He's a backstroker. Hunter, good to see you in studio and you not kicking my butt at CrossFit. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, well, first of all, tell me a little about CrossFit. What is it and how did you get into it?
All right. Yeah. So CrossFit, first of all, it's mainly three components. You've got a gymnastics component, you've got weightlifting, and then you've got some metabolic conditioning. So that's running, rowing, jumping rope, and that thing. All right. So with those three components, you're going to mix them all into a workout, right? You've got 1,000-year-old sport in gymnastics, 2,000-year-old sport in weightlifting, and you've got running, which we've been doing since you had two legs. Only gimmick in CrossFit, we're combining all three together, right? Everything's packaged into an hour-long workout, starting off with a warm-up, finishing up with some sort of stretching. At the end, we get you in and out, bell to bell, 60 minutes.
Now, looking at CrossFit, I've watched videos on YouTube, and that seems very intense in the workout. So let's say for someone who's less than physically fit. Is it something that a beginner could come at, or is this more something meant for someone who's, maybe a little better in shape and is just looking to kind of up their game?
That's a great question, and this is absolutely something for everybody. I will say how I got started in CrossFit was I was finishing up swimming my senior year and decided, what the heck am I going to do? Stay in shape afterwards. Had my weight coach over at UGA, hey, check out this CrossFit thing. It's crazy, people flipping around on rings and stuff. And so I went and checked out a local gym and kind of got hooked to it about 6 years ago. But as far as being for the everyday person or for somebody starting off beginning workouts, the beauty in CrossFit is that every movement is infinitely scalable. So you can take a very complex movement that an experienced gymnastic has been doing a movement for a decade, and you can cue up similar muscular responses with lesser complex movements, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with weights. You simply scale down the amount of weight you're doing. Repetitions, you bring down the weights. Now, the pitfall there and kind of the caution you have to take is a lot of people with this competitive environment where you have things for time and for weight, people get a little bit ahead of themselves. So a big thing in coaching is, take one day at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day sort of thing. The two biggest things I tell athletes starting off is be patient and be coachable, right? So listen to form and don't go too fast in the beginning.
So we won't be throwing tractor tires our first day
not heavy ones.
Okay, all right.
Maybe some smaller ones. Hey, we're talking to Hunter Lainhart from CrossFit 404. Now, let's talk a little bit about diet and exercise. Now, a lot of the folks, of course, who listen to us are beer drinkers, but we also want to keep our figure, as it would be. How can we combine the two? Usually, this seems they're kind of opposites. How are we able to combine the two, diet, exercise, and kind of keeping fit here for this year?
This is the modern day man's problem, isn't it?
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, again, another good question. The big thing here is try to think about things you can start off adding to your diet rather than taking away from your diet, right? So if you've got a certain number of beers you usually drink a week, we can start to pull some of those away, but don't try to cut it cold turkey, right? So let's think of some good things we can start throwing in your diet. Maybe that's going to be a few more leafy vegetables, some root vegetables, a little bit more lean meat, ground turkey, chicken, maybe some ground beef and some bacon thrown in there too. But start thinking some good things to add into your diet. Maybe you also want to try something really out there like some apple cider vinegar in the morning. It's a great liver detox. Another good thing to throw into your diet. So I'm going to say starting off, big thing is let's think what we can add to your diet rather than take away. It's a little less depressing, a little more glass half full type of stuff rather than saying, all right, just eliminate all the beer, right? Yeah, it's not realistic and it's not something that any of us want to do.
Now, you mentioned something there, Hunter, kind of interesting. I heard you mention bacon, get ground beef and bacon in there. And if you look at a traditional diet plan, the fatty bacon, they're going to tell you stay away from pork, stay away from bacon. And I know a lot of times it seems that CrossFit, a paleo-type diet goes together and that you see a lot of people in that. So what is your personal approach, as far as balancing the diet there?
Yeah, the thing with the bacon is you talk about fats, right? And for years and years and years, we've been told fat is the enemy, and not as much sugars. There's some political side of that with sugar lobby and all that, but fat and good fat really isn't the enemy. It's what keeps us satisfied in between meals, how we're not hungry constantly. Okay, so fat in the right context and with meals, things like avocado and bacon, some good lean fats are great to have in your diet. On the other hand, you look at sugars, carbohydrates, things that exist in beer and also a lot of bread and yeast products. Those carbohydrates, if they're not burned for energy immediately, turn into sugar, which is then stored in your body as fat, right?
Yep.
So the number one approach that I'm looking at in my day-to-day is making sure that my fat count is a little bit lower than protein in terms of grams. So if you want to get into talking about macros, you've got fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And there's a lot of research out there as far as where you want those numbers to be based on your goals. For guys and for ladies, they differ slightly. But looking at macros is definitely a good place to start as far as looking towards exercise goals.
And, of course, see a nutritionist and all that good stuff before you
absolutely. This is spoken from somebody with personal experience, yep, but no degree in nutrition.
There you go. We're here with Hunter Lainhart, again, manager of CrossFit 404 in Atlanta. Now, you told us something a little bit earlier before we entered you in the show about the difference between actually how craft beer can help you with your diet. Tell me a little bit about what you're talking about.
Yes, and this is actually a great point. I'll compare it first off to wine. Usually, you get a wine drinker, someone who drinks, or if you're drinking red wine, typically you're going to sip it a little slower because you've got this bolder flavor, a little bit stronger than a white wine, right? White wine is a little bit cooler, a little bit more watered down taste, typically. than a red. Same thing can apply to beer. Let's say you're looking at like a Miller Lite type of beer, something a little lighter, watery to some, and you take a nice hoppy, spicy flavored craft beer. You're going to sip that one a little bit slower, right?
Yep.
So in actuality, you're probably going to end up drinking a little bit less. So the idea of going towards a light beer, if you're just going to sit there and kick back, twice the amount, but it's still got about the same amount of hops in it and all the carbs, what's really the benefit there? So there's a lot of psychology that goes into that, but some of it says it's better to go with something a little bit stronger and bolder because you're going to take smaller sips, drink the beer, enjoy it a little bit more rather than just pounding through them.
Yeah, and it seems like it's almost a quality over quantity type of thing. You
Absolutely.
don't want to, if you're going to, not waste, but if you're going to use 300, 400 calories on a beer, you might as well be drinking something good.
Absolutely. Yep. And another little tip in there, this is again, something you may want to try to add in is, I know it's cliche, but have a glass of water in between every beer. Something like that just to help fill you up a little bit between. But those are things, we talk about adding things, not taking things away. There's another example of adding something to your diet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Mentioning that with the water, I try and drink water as I'm drinking beer. We'll do something that's popular among the beer communities, bottle shares. You get together, everybody brings a few bottles. You may have 30, 40 beers there that are real high alcohol, strong flavor in that. Normally drinking smaller amounts of those, but drinking water, and I'm no scientist by any means, taking an online course, so I'm an expert in this. But keeping your body hydrated is very important in metabolizing that alcohol properly too. So not just with a diet, but looking at the possibility of a hangover or getting sick. It's the water's good to fill you up, so you don't drink as much beer, as well as making sure you don't get too much alcohol or process it properly.
All great points, and it comes back to filtering your liver. What can your body process? If there's no water in there, it's going to lead to some deterioration in the organs long term. But on a day-to-day basis too, beer is not going to hydrate you. Water will, so that leads into hangovers and all sorts of bad things.
Excellent. Hunter Lainhart from CrossFit 404 in Miami Circle. Tell us a little bit more about your gym and how can we get involved if you're interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So the gym, we have open house classes to the public. That's free. Come on in anytime, every Saturday at 11:15 a.m. And we're right off Miami Circle in Buckhead here, but that's kind of the first way to check out a class. And after that, we've got a nice little 6-hour, 3-night class that we offer a few times a month for people who want to get into the gym full time. We don't like to just throw you into the fire. We like to give you a little bit of background on making sure you're safe with the movements, understanding what's going on.
Sure.
And that's kind of the next step involved in getting in. But the first thing, 11:15 every Saturday morning, open house.
Excellent. And CrossFit404.com and, of course, on all the socials as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Hunter Lainhart, the manager at CrossFit 404 in Miami Circle. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're the Beer Guys, and we'll be right back after this.
Want more beer, guys? Want more beer, guys? Follow Tim and Aaron on Twitter at Beer Guys Radio, Facebook, Instagram, and online, beerguysradio.com. The Beer Guys are back after this.
This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
Don't forget to drink local and drink Georgia. Now, back to the Beer Guys.
And welcome back. It's the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Aaron.
I'm Tim.
Oh, and by the way, we haven't mentioned this. We do have some social media stuff going on. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Are we on what else are we on? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, we do have a LinkedIn
we actually
page.
Do have a LinkedIn
we sure
page.
do.
That's
yes.
right. So Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves.
As you'd like to say, all the socials.
All the socials,
all
exactly.
The socials.
And of
We're
course,
there.
beerguysradio.com. We've got some blog posts there, and of course, a lot of information events about.
Hit us up on AOL Instant Messenger.
That's right. Ding, you have mail.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, enough of this silliness right now. Hey, we're drinking the Truck and Tap beer of the day, beer of the week. I brought the Service Brewing Company Ground Powder Pale Ale out of Savannah, Georgia, 4.6% ABV Pale Ale. We just talked to the brewer there, and it's pretty good. It's drinking pretty well. You brought a really nice one from Red Brick.
Casual.
Red Brick Casual. That's right. So, yes, the theme here is session beers, and you made an interesting discovery when kind of doing some research on session beers.
I did. So, as we're talking about this, we mentioned a little bit earlier that a session beer, as a general rule of thumb, it's not set in stone. People will disagree with this, but a session beer is normally a 5% ABV or lower. And it's going to be a balanced beer, one you can sit out in session. You can have several of, and, not get too weighed down. So I decided to look and see what beers do we have in Georgia at or below 5%. And we have a page and a half worth of beers here. So there's just a ton of beers that are available here. If you want to hit that, a lot of them hit right at 5%, but a lot, down 4.2 in that. So a variety of Session Ale, Sessions IPAs. Berliner Weiss is another popular one, a little tart beer. But we'll actually do an article in conjunction with our show with a list of them here. So if you want to look at something a little lower ABV out there, we'll get up a list for you to check out. Yeah,
it'll give you a nice list there. So, again, go to beerguysradio.com. We'll have that posted there, and you can get some information about session beers and, if you just want something a little bit more manageable than some of the big beers that are out there. Now, listen, I have something, though, that's a very important news item. It's breaking.
What? What's going on here?
It's a very important life-changing thing that I need to admit.
Should I sit down for this?
You might have to. Right. My father and I, we went to Hop City Midtown last weekend, and we attended their Homebrewing 101 session, and we have decided to homebrew.
Oh, my.
Yes.
What a big decision.
It is a very monumental decision.
Congratulations to the two of you.
I'm so excited by this, actually. We of course, Dad and I are big craft beer fans. We've been drinking beer together for years, ever since I was 21, of course. Would never drink before that. And of course not. So we finally made the leap to do some home brewing. He's retired, bought a house here in the area with a nice basement, nice cool basement. So we decided to start home brewing. So we've got the kit ready. We're going to build a pale ale. Start off pretty simple, or at least fairly easy. Yep. A little bit hoppier version. The nice lady at Hop City Midtown kind of gave us some instructions on make a little bit of a hoppier one, so sort of maybe a Sierra Nevada clone is what we're looking to do.
You guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. You mentioned you and your dad doing it together. It's a very social activity. Have a lot of fun, and you get beer out of the deal. Is one of the coolest things at the end of it. So. Yeah.
I tell you what, the cool thing about the Hop City is they kind of took you through the whole process. And if you're interested in home brewing, or even if you're just interested in the process, I would highly recommend taking that class at the Hop City Midtown. You can go online to their website and check it out. But the one thing I did take away from that more than anything else was to disinfect everything.
Clean, sanitize.
Exactly.
Those are the keys there. Make sure it's sanitary. Absolutely.
So that's what we'll be doing. Hopefully try and do it this weekend. Of course, a busy beer weekend for us. Maybe next weekend. It depends on how things go. Speaking of, again, it is a super busy weekend. It's crazy out there today.
So today,
yes,
as soon as you get done listening to our show, have the car running, because you're going to need to get going to hit all of these events. So today, 4 fairly large events. Red Hair Root Beer Can Launch.
And that's been highly anticipated. A lot of folks
not beer. That. No. So you want something lower ABV, that applies. This will fit the need. So, but seriously, Red Hair has a very nice root beer.
They do.
So if you like root beer, craft soda's becoming very popular. Mm-hmm. They've had it on tap for quite a while. I've had it at growler shops and around the brewery. And they're putting it in cans, so it'll be cool to have that, as another option. So Southern Sky is actually opening their tasting room. Southern Sky up in Kennesaw.
Yeah, and they're brand new.
Newest brewery up there. They're going to do their tasting room launch party today at 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. So, you can check that out. Now, we also have the Atlanta Cask Ale tasting at 2:30. So you run by, grab you some root beer, run by, check out Southern Sky. You can spend about 5 or 10 minutes at each one.
Yep.
Going down, head down to Five Seasons. 5 Seasons Prado,
yes.
Taco Mac Prado locations for the Atlanta Cask Ale tasting. And that's going to be a great event. Over 50 cask ales, or around 50 cask ales, from the U.S., UK, just some really great beers.
And we talked to Owen Ogletree, of course, last week, who's one of the founders of Brewtopia and one of the main influencers of the cask ale tasting. He has a passion for cask ale, and really, if you haven't had any cask ales, it is a completely different experience from what you usually expect from a kegged or a regular tap.
Yeah, and if you've tried a specific beer even out of a keg or can or whatever, you can have the exact same beer that's been cask conditioned, and it's like totally different beer.
Exactly,
so
and of course, some of the local breweries are going to get some interesting and some unique beers up there as well, including Service, who we just talked to. They're going to be there. I know Creature Comforts, several local breweries, and also some from across the pond, as they say, will be there as well.
So then once you make it through ACAT, you need to pace yourself. It's a marathon day. This isn't a sprint day.
Uber and hotels.
And you'll be at Five Seasons, and you'll be at Taco Max, so you can grab a bite to eat.
There you go.
Pace yourself, take it easy. And then Nuit Belge is
really
Saturday night.
About this
so
one.
that's
Absolutely.
going to be a really awesome event. We're looking at a pairing of Belgian inspired beers with some bites of gourmet food from Atlanta's restaurants, some popular ones in Atlanta, as well as a few guest restaurants that are coming in.
Yeah, some really nice ones out there. Of course, Tim and I will be both at the Atlanta Cask Ale Tasting and Nuit Belge. So stop by, say hi. Maybe we've got some stickers for you and stuff like that to give away. It should be a good time.
Yeah, and then on Sunday, Terrapin Wake and Bake Off. Interesting event that they do.
That's Joey's favorite right over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to laugh there. He likes that one. So, but they're doing an event to do dishes made with their Wake and Bake coffee oatmeal style. They'll have both sweet and savory dishes. And it's actually a two-day event split over the next 2 Sundays, the 24th and the 31st. 31st, right? January.
Yeah, I think January 31st. And
30 days has September.
They'll play a lot of fish in the background and stuff like that. Never mind, I'm sorry.
And then also on Sunday is the Curious Beer Tour at Creature Comforts. That is sold out.
Yes,
so that
was sold out like
quickly.
that. Yes.
People got upset that they didn't get tickets. It's a super, super limited beer. Tickets sold out quickly. Their beers are always in high demand.
Absolutely. So, great brewery. Of course, we talked to them a couple weeks ago, too. No surprise that their Curious Beer Tour got sold out within minutes. And so, folks, it looks like they're going to Athens on Saturday after dealing with the cask ale tasting in Nuit Belge. Looks like folks will be taking the big trip.
Heading over. So, and then looking a little bit ahead, next Saturday, Red Hare is going to launch. We're talking about session beers, so I wanted to mention this.
Yep.
Red Hare is going to launch their Evolving Hare beer series, and this is a session IPA, going to be 4.6%, and each season they're going to rotate the focus hop that they use in this beer. So this first one is going to use Citra as the focus. I believe they said Chinook as the base hop, the foundation hop, and then focusing on Citra, and then each season, rotating that to a new hop.
Cool. Red Hare doing a lot of cool stuff and really expanding quickly. A couple of new releases out there. We've got a secret, though. We've got one of them already we're drinking as of now.
Burnt Hickory Courageous Conductor. I know people have been expecting bottles for a while. It's been expected to hit stores. They're getting out there now. More and more stores are getting them, and we cheated on our session day here already. We're talking about keeping the New Year's resolutions, and we're already cheating.
I found the 4-pack. I had to open it up. We were there, of course, at Brewing Day a little bit earlier in the year or last year, and had to open it up. And look, Burnt Hickory can do really no wrong in my book. This is a great beer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another one to look out for: Sweetwater Pulled Porter.
Yes,
is hitting the stores.
That is my wheelhouse right there.
And that's a bacon smoked porter, Aaron. So that's an interesting.
That's what I'm talking about.
Some future releases to look out for from Georgia Brewers. Jekyll has one. Now, these could change. Some of them just got what's called a label approval, so things could change here, but some that are coming up. Jekyll has one called Fixin' 2.
I love the name.
Fixin' 2. So that's a session IPA.
There you go.
Right now, they're targeting 4.9% on that. Sweetwater with another session beer. Hash Session is one coming up from Sweetwater. And Red Brick has one coming out in February called Hype Whale.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
You got to see the label on that one. It's pretty entertaining.
That is pretty cool. I want to Google that and check it out.
But that is a stout aged on oak chips, bourbon barrel soaked oak chips. So that'll be a good one to see. Some non-Georgia beers to look out for this week. Brooklyn Black Ops is hitting stores or has hit stores. That's one is always popular. Oscar Blues has one called Hot Box Coffee Porter that will be very popular. Westbrook 5th Anniversary continuing to make appearances at different stores around. Straight to L, their Leica Imperial Stout. Some of the bourbon and Cabernet barrel versions are around. So those are good. Both of those are really nice beers. And another Wicked Weed variant came here. Wicked Weed Bread a Berry, which is a tart farmhouse ale with berries and honey.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. Yeah. Well, Tim, you know what? It's about that time. We are done with the show. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, next week, if sessions were the buzzword for 2015, I think sour is the new buzzword, and we're going to talk all about sour beers next week. We'll have Jason Pellet from Orpheus. We'll also be talking with Creature Comforts as well about their sour program. Should be a great show. Thank you so much for joining us on the Beer Guys Radio Show, and we will be back next week. Enjoy the busy weekend of Atlanta beer, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Miss a show? All shows are on demand on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Tim and Aaron on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Beer Guys Radio. Call the Ale line at 678-861-8-ALE. More Beer Guys coming up next week. Same time, same place, same tap. Till then, here's to you.